Let's explore a couple of things in this video. The first one is how to create parameterized methods. The methods that can accept the parameters from the method caller. And the second thing is how to return a value from the method. That means returning something back to your method caller. And to explain that, let's take this example. We have a greeting variable which says hello world. What if we have few more string properties which says like maybe good morning, good afternoon, or good evening? Then how do you want to print those properties or variables? First, let's create these variables and then we will have a look at that. Okay, so now we have three more variables and all of these variables are also private. So you cannot directly access this outside this hello world class. But what if you want to print the value of these variables? So you need something very similar to this print greeting method, right? So let's say if I want to print good morning, then I need one more method to print good morning. So let's copy this method three more times. And let's change our method name to print good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. And within these methods, let's use our new variables. And let's save our code. So we were able to save our code. Let's go back to developer console and access all these different methods. So we have this print greeting method right here. I'm going to copy it three more times so that we can access all three of our methods. And let's copy the method names. The first one is print good morning. The second is print good afternoon. And the third one is print good evening. So let's execute our code and observe the output first. And then we'll talk about how we can modify this code. So we see our hello world as well, then good morning, good afternoon, and good evening as well. And in the end, we see our public property value. So do you think it's good to write all these different methods to print all these different variables value? What if you have so many different greetings, maybe like 100 plus greetings? Are you going to declare all these greetings here, maybe like 100 plus variables, and then you will have 100 plus methods to print those values? No, we are not going to do that. Remember, with each day we are learning new things in this course, and we can always improve our code writing and we can make it more efficient and more reusable. And the sole purpose of a method is to avoid duplicacy in your code or to make your code more reusable. So here, instead of having all these different methods, what I'm going to do, I'm going to comment it here. And instead of all these four different methods, I can have a new method here, which will also be of void return type. And then we can call it maybe like print message. And this method can accept the greeting values that we are printing or any message from outer world. So it can have parameters. And since I am printing a string message, my method parameter should be of string type only. String and then maybe message. And then we can start our curly braces. So what this method will do, it can accept a string message from the method caller. And here we were calling our methods, right? So now we can give a string message right here and that can be printed within this print message. So let's copy this statement here and I'm going to paste it within the print message function. And instead of printing good evening this time, we are going to print this message that we are going to get from our caller. So let's paste it here. Let's save our code. And we can also actually comment these variables as well. We don't need these anymore. So what we are going to do, we are going to supply this greeting from the calling statement. So now we need to comment this as well because These method doesn't exist in our code. So I'm going to comment it here. Let's leave this line right here because this is only printing our public property value. And this time we are going to use our print message function. So let's copy this one, and we need a class variable or the class instance to access this method. Now the beauty of this method is you can supply your greetings right here. You can say hello world, and that should be printed by that method. Or you can call it multiple times, as many times as you want it, but this is only written once. So you see, you have saved over, I guess, 6 to 26. You have saved over 20 lines of code with this pretty generic method, which can accept the message from a caller. And we can call this method as many times as we want it. So first we are going to print hello world. Then we are going to print this is a generic method. And in the third calling statement, we are going to say good morning. And let's execute our code now. And we see all our greetings here. We see hello world, we see this is a generic method, and we see our good morning statement as well. So one method does it all. You don't have to create multiple methods to print all these different variables value. So that's why we say a method can help you reduce your code size with a big margin. Here itself, in a small example, we have saved over 20 lines of code. And a method can not only accept a string data type, it can accept any type of data and any number of parameters that you want to supply to it. For example, you could also accept an integer variable here, and you can call it anything like number, or maybe like another integer variable, another string variable, or whatever that you want to accept from your caller. This is how you make your code more generic. So let me remove this one. We don't need it. Save our code. The next thing that we are going to explore in this video is defining a method with a return data type, anything except void. For example, let's say you can declare a method which can accept a number from 0 to 6, and based on these numbers, it's going to return the day. So let's say if the number is 0, then you can return Sunday. If the number is 1, then you can return Monday, and so on. So we are going to define a method like that, and we are going to name it getDay. For now, I'm going to give it a return type as void, and later on we will change it. And remember, our method is accepting a integer value from 0 to 6. So that's why we are making our parameter as an integer type here. And let's add a comment here which says returns a day name based on the day number. And here we need to write our logic. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to declare a string variable, and I'm going to call it like day string, and I'm going to initialize it with blank value. So when I declare a variable within a method, this variable is not available to other methods. You cannot use this variable in other methods. You can only use the global variables that we define within a class scope in all the methods. If you declare something within a method, then that particular variable is not available for the other methods because it's within that function scope only. And here our method scope is from line 33 to 35, where our curly braces closes. So we have initialized our day string with a blank value, and now we are going to populate it based on this day number. So I hope you remember our switch when statement, which can do exactly this type of thing. So let's write our switch statement, and we are switching on this day number. And when the day number value is 0, then we want to make our day string equals to Sunday. So first save our code and see if you are getting any error or not. If not, then we will declare this when statement 6 more times. So our code saved fine. We did not get any error. So let me copy paste this when statement 6 more times. And I'm going to make some changes based on this number value. And if a number value is not between 0 to 6, then you can have a else statement here where we will return invalid day number when else. And here let's make our day string equals to awesome. So we have got our day string populated based on this day number. Now we need to return it to our caller, right? Because our caller is supplying a day number and it is expecting a day string in return. And for that, you can use the return statement. And as I said in my previous video, the return statement must be the last statement in your method. So our method ends here at line number 64. So you can define your return statement just before that. And we are going to return our day string. Now, since we are returning a string data type here, your return type must also be the string data type. So we need to change it from void to string. But before we make that change, let's see what type of error we get when we don't make this change. And it says void method must not return a value. So since we are returning a value here, either we need to change our void return type to something else, or we need to remove this return statement. So we'll change this void to string because we are returning a string value. And let's save our code again. And this time our code saved fine. And this time we did not get any error. So let's go to our developer console and let's execute this method right here. And we are going to convert some of our days to the string values. So first we need our class instance, which is first class. And then we need our method name, which is getDay. And here we can supply different values. And since this method returns a string value, you could directly use it within a debug statement. So I can simply copy my debug statement here and paste my method calling statement within this. So ultimately this statement is going to execute first and it's going to get Monday from my getDay method here, and that Monday will be printed in the system.debug statement. Let's copy this line few more times. So let's assign some random values here, maybe 2, 6, and then a invalid value, maybe something like 10, because we are only expecting numbers from 0 to 6. So 10 should be an invalid value. Let's execute it and see the output. So we have got Sunday, Tuesday, Saturday, and invalid day number, which is coming from this else statement. So this is how you can accept the parameters from your caller and return some value to your caller back, so that you compute your things within the method and then return the computed thing to your caller back again. And if you remember the size function from our list class or from our set class, it was returning us the size of the list or set, right? So they have implemented that size method in similar way the way we are implementing our getDay method.